Well, hello and welcome to Outdoor Oklahoma. I'm Todd Craighead. Today's show is all about spending time on the water. A little later, we're going to take you to Sooner Lake in north central Oklahoma and do a little fall time bass fishing. But coming up first, since Oklahoma does have so many lakes to choose from, means we've got a lot of boaters in our state. And that makes it important to every once in a while review boating safety. Well, we're going to catch up now with Mike Ellis, who's the commander of the Oklahoma City Sail and Power Squadron.
My name is Mike Ellis. I'm with the Oklahoma City Sail and Power Squadron. I'm out here to help give you guys a few tips to be safe on the water. The first thing I would say they need to know about boating is they have about 2 tons of vessel out in the water with a 100 horsepower engine and no brakes. You wouldn't send your child out in a car with no driver's education. Why not have some boater's education? This is what the Oklahoma City Sail and Power Squadron does. We are a boater's education society. We get together monthly. We have different classes that we offer. There are, the first thing you would need to do is the ABC, which is the American Boaters Course. It's a 1, 2, 3. We talk about the types of hulls that different boats have, whether they're planing or displacement. We talk about engines. We talk about maintenance. We talk about life safety, your life jackets, the different types of equipment that must be on board if you happen to get on a lake, at least here in Oklahoma. If you are ill-equipped and the lake patrol stops you, it could be a very expensive lesson. For us, we want to help you avoid that. So that's what we're all about, is boaters education. A lot of times, duck hunters will go out in weather that is, as we should say, adverse. Winds are up somewhat, 15, 20 miles an hour. Lake waves could be rolling at a foot or more. A boat could pitch, it could toss. The fetch across the lake, as it builds with the wind speeds, can become very hazardous, especially to duck hunters out in a boat. Hypothermia in waters that are like we have right now, about 56 degrees, hypothermia will take over in about 25 seconds. Your body loses heat extremely fast in water, extremely fast. So you think you're a good swimmer, you can swim a mile. You cannot outswim the 20 seconds or so it takes in 56-degree water. Let's say that you're further away from shore than you normally would be and you have a problem. There's absolutely no way that you could swim back, even if you had a life jacket. The life jacket, you would want to curl up, close up all your arms and legs to close the condensed body heat to salvage it. Stay as close to the boat as you possibly can. Most of the time, I would suggest that you just stay with your boat. Once again, the boat is a much bigger target for officials to find you. A float plan is another good thing to set up and play out. A float plan is the thing that you would file with a family member to let them know where you are, where you're going, how long you're going to be out, when you're to return. And if you do not return in a certain amount of time frame, then they send out the authorities to come and find you. Out here at Lake Thunderbird, it would take about 45 minutes for authorities to come and get to you. That's just to the lake. Now they got to figure out where you are. So keep all those things in mind. Your cell phone, once it goes in the water, probably will not work. You are going to be alone. You're going to be by yourself, trying to make your life salvageable to get back up on the boat. And authorities can find that much quicker than they can find you floating under the water. As a matter of fact, I had a conversation with a guy a few years back. I don't know how to exactly say this, but he had a few adult beverages, okay? Water and alcohol mix at the bar, not necessarily at the lake. As I passed him, I just reminded him that he probably ought to have a life jacket. This fisherman told me that he knew what he was doing and he was on his own and he'd been doing this for years. Very good. Go right on ahead. About 45 minutes to an hour later, as I came back around in my sailboat, I saw that his boat had was empty and that he had fallen out of it. Unfortunately, without his life jacket, he had fallen onto a stump which broke his back and his neck, and he drowned in the lake. That was a very unfortunate incident. Whether a life jacket would have salvaged him or not, or saved him, I have no idea. But the life jacket would have definitely given him a chance for life. So fishermen always should wear a fishing life jacket, which are comfortable. They make them in a wide variety of sizes and shapes to fit all kinds of bodies. Nobody is immune from the water. We don't breathe it, the fish do. These are a series of different size personal flotation devices referred to as PFDs. Life jackets, just like clothes, come in a different size, and they rate at different weight limits, different size limits. Please check out a life jacket. Make sure that it fits you comfortably. Make sure that you wear it. You won't wear it if it's not comfortable. Please be comfortable in your life jackets. As with all of this, none of it will save your life if you don't use it. Let's say you fall overboard. You happen to fall out of your boat. You need something that you can throw. This is called a throwable device. Once again, it's not a life jacket, but once you fall into the water, you can grab a hold of it and put your chest on there to help keep you afloat. This should be in anybody's boat, every boat. Not everybody needs to have a life ring or should have a life ring, but just because you're in a bigger boat, a life ring works. You can toss this out. It has a better ability to throw. Once you throw it, you should have a line attached to it. The line attached to it will then bring the individual back. All you need to do for this is stick an arm or something through it and it'll take you back into the boat. Now, after you've been on the boat for a while, you get that infamous fish hook stuck in your finger or in your foot. A first aid kit, very simplistic. Open it up. Contents inside, very sundry of things, the Band-Aids, gels, solutions to keep yourself from getting infected. A good pair of pliers, a pair of dikes to cut a hook would also be something that would benefit this. Also, while you're out on a boat, you need to have some kind of a sounding device. But the sounding device will let the other boaters know where you are, what your intentions are, whether you're coming aboard, coming aside to the port or to the starboard, whether you're overtaking, or whether you just need things to stop. Now, how do you do all of that? That's all done with a sounding device. That means stop. The next thing that you should have on your boat is a fire extinguisher, and it needs to be easily accessible, probably close to where a fire should start, like close to the engine compartment or a kitchen if you happen to have something like that in your boat. But a fire extinguisher will help to put out the fire and stop the blaze from happening. It does need to be a marine type ABC fire extinguisher. This is the safety. Anything other than that, the more that you can put on your boat for safety, the better off you can be. The odds are you'll always come back to have another day out fishing, hunting, having a good time. It's that one chance that you have an accident, that 1%, all of this comes into play and saves your life. If you don't have it, you're just not going to make it. If somebody's really interested in learning how to be safe on the water and boating safely, I would say that they need to contact us either through our website page or the Facebook page.
What is that on your? What is that? Oh yeah. What is it? It's a life jacket? Can you say life jacket?
Life jacket.
When the temperatures start to cool off in the fall, many sportsmen transition from angling all summer long to hunting. But truth be told, there's a lot of great fishing to be had all over Oklahoma. And Sooner Lake in north central Oklahoma is a prime example. Right now, we're going to head up north and do a little fall time largemouth bass fishing.
This is a warm water discharge lake. It's fall time bass fishing. It's middle of November. Water temps are mid 60s right now, which is just about prime time. It just starts getting good. Fish start coming out of their deep water haunts, moving up into the shallows, chasing bait fish. They're just basically gorging before they know that the winter's coming, and they're just trying to eat as much as they can right now. So basically this is the best time. You don't have to get up early this time of year. The water's as cool in the morning, it warms up in the afternoon, so no reason to get up absolutely at the crack of dawn. These fish are going to feed pretty much all day till a couple hours before sunset this time of year. So and the bite gets better as the day goes on. So hopefully today we'll throw some reaction baits and see how it goes. I enjoy Sooner Lake for a lot of reasons. I think Sooner Lake has a lot of diverse fish in it. As far as size of fish, that's what probably one of the biggest draws to Sooner Lake. I mean, anytime you can catch a 12-pounder when you go out, I mean, who doesn't want to do that in northern Oklahoma? I mean, there's 30-plus pound string 5-fish limits that come out of Sooner Lake at least a couple times a year. So, I mean, that's a huge draw to that lake. Basically, we're fishing a point right here, and it's just a little point with some flats in the back there. These fish kind of use this as kind of a moving up point. It's got some deep water we're setting in here, but it's also got a little lip and a ledge up there. Wind blowing into it. This lake got some coontail, some duckweed in it over the last couple years, and it's really helped the population of the bass, the size, the bait fish. Just, it's really good for a healthy fishery. This is probably one of the better kept secret lakes. It doesn't look like much, but it's got some really quality fish in it. In the fall time, these fish are, the majority of the fish are moving from that deeper water up into that shallow water. They're following the food source. The shad are moving up in that backwater with the cooler water, and the fish are also following a lot of that cooler water back there. It's about 10 foot right here. Water's about 65 degrees. Now this is the warm water side of the lake, what they call the warm water side. So basically those stacks over there, that's what they generate electricity with. It's got some turbines that heat a lot of water, pumps a lot of warm water into this lake. There's one, finally. Just a little guy, but it's a start. Little feisty sucker. I started off with a crankbait, and that's an amazing fall bait. That should be, it's a search bait. You can cover a lot of water really quick with it. This time of year, a lot of the fish are feeding on the shad. The shad are moving up shallow, they're dying off. It's just, they're stocking up for the wintertime. Basically, we're just covering a lot of water right now with a crankbait. It's a really good search bait in the fall time. Really a good silent body that doesn't have a lot of rattle to it. These fish key on that. This one here is a handmade bait from a guy in Tennessee. It's just a really good balsa bait. Doesn't have any rattles, totally silent. Just a really, really good search bait in the fall time when the water hits that mid-60 temp and on down into the 50s. These fish right now seem to be relating to a lot of the grass up there that's in that 8 to 1 foot range. And they'll set in the middle of it or on the outside edge of it. So the closer you get to the grass edge, the more bites you'll get. So we'll kind of ease in here a little bit. This is some of that coontail I was talking about. Still green right now, even though the water's in the 60s, but that's just really good for a healthy fish environment. I think that's one of the big draws to a lot of really good bass fisheries is a good grass source. That helps with water clarity, helps with your bait fish population, and it also, Sooner's a great example of it. You know, it's a thriving bass, big bass population in it. So Sooner's really come into its own the last couple years. It seems to be getting more and more of this grass in it, which is good. There's actually a couple pockets with lily pads in it, which is pretty rare and unique for northern Oklahoma and lakes up there. So, I mean, it's just a fun lake all around. Oh, that's a good one there. Just a little guy. Thought he was better than that. Kind of throw a buzzbait. A buzzbait's another great search tool this time of year. These fish haven't seen a lot. They've been out deep. They haven't seen a lot of noisy surface lures, so they kind of want to attack it. And so this little slick water right here, the wind's kind of pushing around the point. There's some grass. I kind of want to stay up above the grass. I can't get my crankbait through it, so let's see if we can get something to come up on a buzzbait. This one right here, I've drilled holes in the blade to get a bubble trail behind it. The blade, I like to make sure it hits either the wire or the head to make an extra clack. This grommet on the back here, what I like to do is I like to crimp that on the wire, and what it does is it holds that grommet or that rivet in place so that once that metal on metal contact, it actually squeals. And you want that squeal. Second that I like to comb around with, that's good on windy days, you get a little bit of current, you get a little bit of chop on the water, is a spinnerbait. Basically, it's just a small school of shad going through the water. So this one right here, it's a double willow. This is kind of that bait fish profile. Good for just, you know, all around semi-clear water. Now the last one I want to talk about is a crankbait. This is probably one of my favorite fall time baits, and it's really easy to, on choosing a crankbait, you kind of want to work with the water temperature on which crankbait you select. When fall first time hits, you're looking for a little fatter bait, something a little wider with a little bit more wobble. So this is in, say, 70-degree water temperature. The next one that I like to go down to when it hits, you know, the low 60s is just a little bit thinner. See how that's got a little bit thinner on the sides? You're getting a little bit tighter wobble on it. And then once the water gets below 60 into that mid 50s range, even up into the upper 40s, a flat-sided crankbait. They want something that's got a real tight wiggle to it. So that's how you select a crankbait, the shape of the crankbait based on water temperature. So let's talk about what type of crankbait. There's so many out there. This time of year, the best producer that's probably going to get you a lot of bites. That's not to say that you can't catch them on other ones. A lot of guys and a lot of the pros, you're going to look at a balsa crankbait. It's basically, it doesn't have any rattles to it. It's silent. This one's handmade. There's a bunch on the market, but if you look for a wood crankbait, something that's wooden, something that doesn't have any rattles to it, something that's got a little square bill to it, that's what you're looking for this time of year. And it's just a search bait. You're just covering a lot of water with it. Oh, golly. Ah! Can't buy a break. They're not committed. Oh, there he is. Oh, there, look at these ones. He's not very big, but he's fun. He's a little guy, but he got hooked up. He's just a little guy. Wait till we get a big one. Ugh. He finally ate it. He wasn't scared. And Sooner's diverse is that it really doesn't have a water source, any creeks or any true water source like a normal body of water has. So basically it's just a big giant pond into a lake. So, but the only thing that separates Sooner is that it has a warm water discharge to it. So you can make your own creeks, I guess you could say, on Sooner by moving around and following water change that's actually man-made water change. So if you come to Sooner Lake, this is what they call the warm water discharge side. And the water comes from that power plant over there. It filters through it, and then they discharge the warm water out of it, and it wraps around coming back this way. And there's another rock wall over there, and that's called the inlet. And the water, they'll actually pull water from that side. And it'll have another buoy line similar to this one that keeps you from, a quarter mile from getting too close to the plant. You're fine, Bubba. He's just a little guy, a little scrapper. On a buzzbait. Probably one of the best fall time topwater bites for big bites too. This water here, it's 73 degrees, and we just drove less than a mile on the warm water side, so you can tell how much just that little bit of distance the water temp changes. Some of the advantages to fall time fishing is you get a great topwater bite. A lot of the bass are shallow. They're easier to catch. You get a lot of that cooler weather. It's easier on the anglers to fish in cooler weather. And a lot of the time the recreational pleasure boaters aren't out on the water. And I've gone out to Grand Lake or Lake Eufaula in December, had pretty much the whole lake to myself where I didn't see a lot of boats. About the only thing that limits you is, what kind of weather elements you can handle. If you can handle the cold fronts and whatnot, then that's, even better for you. So, but hopefully you gained a few tips today from this little outing, and hopefully it helps improve your odds for fall time fishing. Even though we didn't do great today, it's hit and miss this time of year. So good luck, and thanks for tuning in.
Well, next time you're on the water, whether it's just for fun or you're targeting largemouth bass, we want you to always remember to stay safe. Thanks for joining us today, and for all of us at your wildlife department, I'm Todd Craighead. We'll see you right here next time on Outdoor Oklahoma.
Bye.